Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Dream Team chat on a Tuesday morning. I hope everybody's having a good Tuesday. Today, we are diving into this idea of how to avoid burnout, right? And so I did want to talk to you guys about this specific topic because I think it is so important, especially in this season, and then throughout your entire Scentsy career, to recognize what is burnout, why do we go through it, and how can we work through it? Because I don't think that burnout can be necessarily avoided. I think that it is something that we frequently run into, maybe not even with just Scentsy, but like in our lives, and we feel that. And so I think it's important that we recognize it and then know how we can maneuver through it, and maybe help to ease the overwhelming feeling that we have in other areas of our lives, or if we come up on it again. Okay. So, you know what? Oh, okay. Hold on. Wait. Okay. My sound wasn't on. Okay. That might be why. So, sorry. We had some hearing issues earlier. My bad. Okay. So, uh, burnout, I didn't even look up. I don't know if there's a definition for burnout, but there probably is somewhere. But when I was thinking about what is burnout to me, what does that look like? For me, the definition that came up was exhaustion caused by repetitive activity that demands energy from both body and the mind. Okay. So obviously, our everyday life, what we do in our everyday life, I think we can have burnout there, right? As moms, we're taking our kids to school, we're doing homework. As wives, we're cooking and we're managing the household. And maybe you're having a full-time job and you're doing all of that too. And it's like we go through that repetitive motion, and all those things require both physical energy, right? It's demanding on our physical, cooking dinner, being there for our kids, playing with them, taking them to school, being there with our husbands, spending time with our friends, going out doing things. Like that's all very physical for us. But then it also requires like mind energy, right? We have to be present for our kids. We have to be having conversations with them and reading to them and doing homework and loving on them. And then our husbands, they demand, attention from us, and that's all good. And our friends and all the other things that strive for our attention, and that's all good and everything. But when we do that in a repetitive manner, when that's something that we're doing on a daily basis, and we're giving our energy and our devotion to it, and grandkids, and yeah, all of that, like our business, we're giving all of our energy to that. And when we do it day to day to day to day, even if little things change, we're still exuding energy, right? And when we're doing that in a repetitive way, we can come to a point where we're like, oh my God, I feel so exhausted. Like I am so tired. And then all of a sudden it hits you like a ton of bricks that like, I don't have the energy for anything right now. Like I flat out don't want to do anything. And that can run a rut in your business. And that can run a rut in your marriage. That can run a rut with your kids. That can run a rut with your friends and your family and your grandkids and all the areas of your life. And you can be sitting there wondering why. But to be honest, like that's burnout, right? You're burned out. Like, what do we do? How do we maneuver through that feeling? Because man, it sucks to like not have the energy for anything, but then have to get out of bed and have to take your kids to school. And like, how do we get ourselves out of that funk? Because it is a funk, and it's not fun to be in, but we all go through it, right? And I think that talking about it is important. I think that having people that you can lean on and say, oh gosh, I'm really just not feeling it today, and having people in your corner who will be like, I know, girl, I get it, like one foot in front of the other, like try to mix it up, whatever. There's lots of different ways to get out of that funk. But what's important that I think you should know is that even the things that I tell you maybe work for me, or the things that I know have worked well for other people, it's important to recognize that like maybe there's something else that you can do that would work better for you. So just know that the list that I give you is not the end all be all. It is not the final say. Okay. We all have our different ways that we know care for ourselves, and that can help pull us out of it. But specifically in our business, it is really important. I mean, in all areas of your life, honestly, I don't want you to be in a slump forever with your kids or your marriage or anything like that. But especially in our business, the thing is that the wheels keep turning. right? Our business continues to go on. Scentsy continues to go on. Things are happening quickly around us. And if we don't find a way to pull ourselves out of that funk, what can happen is we kind of get rolled over. We kind of get rolled over, and all of a sudden we get really behind. And there is nothing worse than being in the middle of a funk and knowing that every day that passes, you're more and more and more behind. That is not a fun feeling. It's really not. And it can cause us to fall into like a really deep pit. And we have each other, and I hope that this is a safe space for you guys to lean on each other and to have those conversations, but also recognize that I do feel like there are some things in your life that you can do to help lessen that feeling, or maybe even to avoid it in certain circumstances. Okay, so we should be hyper aware of what burnout looks like in our own lives, and not paranoid. I said hyper aware, not paranoid. Don't be paranoid about it, because if it happens, it's okay. It'll pass. Given that you treat it the right way. But I do want you to be aware of what it looks like, so that you can try to exit out before it gets crazy, before you fall into that deep funk, before you get too far behind, specifically in your business. Okay. So I do want you to be think about a time where you're like, man, I'm feeling really burned out, because I can tell you that the times that I feel the most burnt out are January. January is when I felt the most burnt out, or towards the end of December. Man, I feel so tired and so run down from all the things that we have been doing in our business throughout our busiest season. Right. Even at the end of summer, sometimes I can have a couple weeks of feeling really burnt out, right? Because I have focused the summer mainly on my family and doing all the fun things. And now I'm trying to refocus onto my business, but I'm feeling burnt out from being with my friends and my family. And it can be that weird middle ground. And so and you guys, that's yearly. I'm not even talking about the times where me and Alex get on the phone and it's like, oh, I'm feeling really burnt out this week, like I just don't feel like doing anything. And maybe there's not a rhyme or a reason to it, except that if we go by my definition, it's that repetitive activity. It's the getting up, it's doing the grind, it's doing the PWS mail, it's falling back on the systems, it's sending the emails and packaging the orders and reaching out and following up, and all of these things. And it's a accumulation of one day you just wake up and you're just tired. And you know what? I'm going to be very honest with you. Burnout, when it gets at its worst, it's not good. Okay, it's not healthy. But also, I think that the beginning signs of feeling tired and being burnt out can be really helpful, and it's okay. It's a sign to ourselves. It's like a big neon sign that says, "Hey, slow down. You need a rest. You need to do something else. You need to take a moment, regroup, self-care, change it up, have some fun, and then you can come back to the repetitiveness of what drives our business, right? Because consistency drives our business. We need the mundane, everyday things, the PWS mail, the following up, the booking the parties, the packaging the orders. We need all of that. That's foundation for our business. But you are no good if you are emotionally exhausted, tired, and just not with your head in the game, right? So learn those signs as they come up, because they will come up. Maybe you haven't experienced them yet, I get it, but it will come up. And so I want you to recognize those signs, you feeling tired, and then think about what you can do to help pull yourself out of it. So some of the things, I'm going to go through this little list. It's not very long, it's actually only 5 things that I came up with. But what's really fun is that I was telling my mom that I was doing this training today. And for those of you who don't know, my mom lives with us, and I'm actually thinking that she'll have to come on and do a training, because she is an amazing leader in her company as an HR person. But anyways, I was talking to her about this training, and I said, Mom, what are some things that you think of that you can do to avoid burnout? And so 2 of the things on my list are from her that I honestly hadn't thought of. And so I'm going to share those with you. So my first thing, and she had kind of mimicked this too. One of the first things, the biggest things, big things. Okay, I'm going to start with the most important. So if you do not listen to anything else, please listen to me now. The best thing you can do to avoid burnout is to learn to rest. Learn to rest. Okay. Me and Alex spent some time together this last week, and we talked a lot about this idea of like knowing when to turn off. Like, I'm just not going to answer. I'm not going to respond to the text messages. I'm just not going to be on social media 24 hours a day. I'm not going to be in my Instagram stories all the time. I'm not going to show up when I don't feel like it, when it's not necessary, right? But in the same hand, we're going to show up where it matters, right? So even though those conversations are going on, there's still consistency happening in our business where it matters. But that rest has slid into areas where we began to see that it was exhausting to be on Instagram all the time, right? Or that it was exhausting to have to be answering text messages or phone calls or all this stuff all the time. So finding those ways that you can rest inside of the busyness of your schedule, those little moments, those breaks that you can take, right? Um, for me, it's like the 2 o'clock slowdown for me when I have to go pick up my kids and then I come back. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Like I really feel like I could take a nap right now, right? Middle of the day, exhaustion. Anybody else feel that? For me, I feel like that's where I slow down. And I feel like that it's my body telling me I need to rest a little bit. I need to calm down. I need to take a breather. I have my burst of energy in the morning most of the time. And so that 2 to like 3:30, 4 o'clock, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna chill. I'm just gonna like lay in my bed when my kids are home. I'm gonna lay on the couch with them. I'm gonna talk to them about their day and I'm just going to hang out. I'm not going to rush back home to get back to my office or to start homework with my kids. Like I'm going to figure out on a day-to-day basis what does those little moments of rest look like. And I like to insert those a lot. Maybe it's I go have breakfast with a friend instead of working on packaging orders, or I'm going to on Fridays I spend a lot of the time with my husband because he's off on Fridays and so I'm resting on those days. And so finding those areas where you can rest. And maybe it's not taking a nap, right? Maybe it is self-care. It's that form of self-care. Maybe if you need a bath at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, then take a bath at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Give yourself time to breathe. Give yourself that moment of peace where you don't have your phone next to you, where you're not thinking about what you need to do next in your business. Because you know what? The best way to get inspired by for your business is literally to rest. It resets your brain. And then you come back and you're like fully rested and calm and committed to the next steps. You're not overwhelmed by all the things that you have to do because you have emptied out your brain, you have calmed your body, and you are ready to look at it with fresh eyes and to keep it moving, right? Okay, so the next thing, this was one of my mom's pieces of advice, and I really, really love it. She said, pace yourself. And I love that. And I'm really bad at it, but I love it. Pace yourself is such a good way to avoid burnout or to help maneuver through it, right? We have, Scentsy, to me, running a Scentsy business, we want to make it simple, but there are a lot of things that like we kind of have to do, like package orders, follow-ups, and it's not that those are like super complicated, but there's a lot of steps in there, right? And so when we're feeling a little bit tired, those steps can seem like a lot, right? And I'm one who literally am looking at my office right now with 7 boxes in front of me thinking, oh my gosh, I have to go through all of these today and I got to do an email and I got to do that. And I won't pace myself, but instead run around like a chicken with its head cut off and not devote my time and my energy to just one task and know that it's okay to just do that task, right? I don't have to do it all right now. I don't have to do it all in the next hour. I don't need to do it before my kids get out of school. Okay, I can pace myself. I can turn on Netflix and I can do the things that I need to do while I'm sitting here and I'm relaxing and I'm not rushing through it and I'm not trying to get it all done right this second, right? Because these boxes will still be here tomorrow for sure. um, and like last night, me and my husband went on a date. I had 7 boxes sitting here. I'm like, man, I should be working on these boxes, but also they'll still be here. So I'm gonna pace myself. I did some of it yesterday and I'm gonna get back to it today. I'm gonna do some more tomorrow. I'm gonna get through it and it'll be fine. Pace yourself. That was such good advice from my mom. And then the next one that she said was, and I love this one, never thought of this one, but I love it. Okay. I think this is a great piece of advice. She said, space out your tasks that you don't enjoy. Okay. So maybe there's a couple things in your business, right? We need things in our, we need, maybe it's fluff for you or something, like making samples or whatever, creating new flyers. I know I love to do that. I know Alex loves to do that, but that's fluff. That's not income producing, but it brings us joy. It makes us happy. We love doing that. So, but then there are things that we're like, ugh, PWS mail, not the best, right? Setting up Facebook parties, not the best. Sending emails or recognition or anything like that, where it's mundane, repetitive, and it's just like tedious, right? Maybe it's not something that brings me immense joy. And so on those things, I don't want to say, okay, Tuesday, I'm going to do all the things that I don't like doing or all the things that exhaust me. I'm going to set aside that day to do it all. Like that is such a bummer. That's such a bummer. You're going to dread that day and you're going to subconsciously do everything you can that day to sabotage yourself in doing those tasks, right? And so do not pile on all the tasks in your business or even your life, right? Like if you have chores that you need to do, don't decide to do all the chores that you hate, like bathroom cleaning and mopping and dishes all on the same day, right? Space it out, space out the tasks that you don't like and make sure that you're throwing in some fun with it, right? Nancy said she turned on 80s music today and cleaned while sharing. Pfft, perfect. I love music. Music makes me happy every time. So that's exactly what I do. I turn on music in my office and I power through those tasks that I don't like to do while I'm jamming to my favorite songs. Throw in things that bring you joy when you have to get tasks done that you don't love, but also space it out. Space it out. Yes, or a movie or friends. Friends will always make you happy. Space out your tasks you don't enjoy. So those were the two tips from my mom that I absolutely loved. The next one is, and this could probably beg to be a little bit higher on the list, but rely on systems. Rely on the systems that you have created on in your business, right? To take hold when you don't feel like giving a ton of energy to a certain task. That's the great thing about systems, you guys, is because without a, I know that in the beginning, building a system takes work. It takes a little bit of time, right? To get everything ready for you to be able to send out PWS mail every month, you have to get yourself ready in the beginning of the month by bulk sampling, making sure you have your thank you cards, making those flyers, making sure you have everything ready to go. That you have to take time in the beginning of the month to do that. But what it does is that it lessens the time when you actually have to put together that PWS mail. You have everything already ready to go, right? And so when you build those systems, what happens is if I'm feeling burnt out, but I know I got to send out PWS mail because to me, for my business, that's an income producing activity. And I know I need to get that done. I know I can do it with my eyes closed, muscle memory. I can just pull those things together. And even if I'm not feeling my greatest, I can package that up real nice and get it sent out in under, I mean, one package takes me maybe 4 minutes to get done, right? Because I have it all ready to go. And those systems, when in place, will help you move through those tasks that you know that you have to get done, even in the midst of feeling tired, right? And I think that that is the greatest gift that we can give to ourselves and our business is to create the systems that help our business run smoothly when it's good and when we're tired. Okay. Because you're going to get tired. You're going to get tired. You're gonna feel burnt out. But that does not mean that your business stops. That does not mean that you sleep for a week. You just can't do it. I told you you'll get rolled over, right? You'll get so far behind that when you do finally wake up and come back to your business, it's miles ahead of you. And I want that for you. And I'm not saying that there's no way to ever catch up, but it's not going to be fun. It's going to be a lot less of a headache for you to have the systems in place. Be tired in the moment, get it done, and then go rest. Okay? Rely on your systems. If you're scheduling posts, if you're not scheduling posts, you need to be scheduling posts. That's a huge system for me. Scheduling post. I never know how I'm going to feel on that day. But what I do know is that I have posts scheduled most of the time. Most of the time, I have posts scheduled to at least get me through the day. So if I have to do other things, at least I know I don't have to focus on social media. At least I know I don't have to focus on my Facebook VIP group. They're taken care of. Okay. Huge deal. It's a game changer, right? Build your systems so that in the midst of feeling tired and in the midst of burnout, you can rely on them. It is so, so important. Okay. And then the last one that I have for you, and again, this is probably in no particular order, except for learning to rest is definitely number one. Um, Prioritize what matters. And this is a big one, and even to go as far as your life, right? But again, like encompassing your business and balance and all these things, you need to prioritize what matters in the midst of burnout, in the midst of tired fog and exhaustion and just not feeling up to doing anything. You need to know, you need to have a clear cut guide to say this is what's important, right? This is what for sure needs to get done today, tomorrow, this week, this month. I know that these tasks must be accomplished because it's going to drive your business forward. You have to keep moving forward, even when you're sleepy, even when it's not fun. Baby steps are fine. Crawling, fine. Okay. But you need to be able to look and know without a doubt this is what's important, and I'm going to prioritize it, right? Prioritizing it is taking a group of activities or a group of um, things that you need to get done and arranging them in order from uh, needs to get done, this is urgent, most important, to this can really wait, right? Prioritize. And yeah, I'm saying in your business, but then also on a bigger scale, on a bigger like picture, make sure that you're including like family and rest and all those things, right? If you say, "Man, I haven't gone on a date with my spouse in a month," then that better be on top priority this week, right? Prioritizing what matters in your business and in your life is going to help you avoid burnout because as you take each day to work through that list, you're starting at the top. And it's okay that you're throwing in little fluff things if it's things that you don't love, right? Like booking parties, having joint conversations, sponsoring, all those things should be high priority because they're income producing and all that good stuff. But maybe that's really not fun for you. Maybe that really stresses you out. It's okay to throw in some fluff in there, right? But you need to be working through that list of priority items, those income producing activities, so that it drives your business forward. And so that by day 4, if you are feeling real tired and you're like, man, I'm going to spend more time today resting than working, you've already produced so much in your business that week that it's okay that you take a day off. That's the great thing about this business is that you can afford to take the time off. You don't have to ask a boss. You don't have to call in sick. You can say, mental health day, coming for you. And it's fine, right? But there is a certain accountability that you have to hold to yourself to say, okay, what have I done? And one of the things that I know Alex and me have talked about before, but we talk about with each other is this idea of not looking at your day to day and saying, what have I accomplished, but looking at it at a bigger scale, like a week or this month, right? Because sometimes we have days where I'm like, well, I only packaged 2 orders today. That's all I was able to get done. I wrote the thank you notes, I packaged them, I labeled them, but that's all I did. Right. But this week, let me tell you about this week. I closed a $500 party. I did this, I did that. I booked 2 more. So don't be so hard on the day to day. Look at it on a bigger scale and recognize that the burnout and the tired, it's all valid, right? Because we're not just Scentsy consultants. We're out here doing the things, right? Some of you have full-time jobs. Some of you have kids. Some of you have a lot of kids. Some of you have kids and things. Some of you are going through stuff in your family. Some of you had a new baby. Some of y'all just have life happening around you, and you wear many, many hats. And so when you look at your business and you're like, I love my business, it's so much fun. Why am I so exhausted? Man, look around you. You're doing all the things. Your reason for being tired and feeling burnt out is not, it's totally valid. It's not without question, 100%. You have every right to be tired, but don't use it as an excuse to not do anything, right? We can't use burnout as an excuse if we expect to have this business working for us to reach our big goals, right? Making the excuses is only going to stop our business. It's okay to be tired, which means it's also okay to rest. It's okay to pace yourself. It's okay to space out the mundane, not fun tasks. Definitely okay to rely on your systems. And you should be prioritizing what matters, right? So, for me, and when it comes to burnout, especially in this season, okay? So if this is your first year with us during a fall and holiday season, or maybe it's your third, maybe it's your fourth, let me just remind you, the holiday, fall, winter season gets crazy. It can feel like so much. And it's exciting, and all these new things are happening, and we're like, yes, our business, best month ever. Oh my gosh. And it's great. It's great. But when we have all that excitement build up and we're pumped up, y'all, have you ever felt an adrenaline crash? Have you ever come down from a serious adrenaline rush? You literally feel like you can sleep for days, right? Actually, what happens to me is when I get like super high adrenaline, like in a moment, I get really sweaty. This is so embarrassing, but I get really sweaty, and my mouth, I taste like metallic in my mouth. Like, that's how it feels for me to come off an adrenaline rush. My husband, um, gets instantly tired. He wants to, like, talk about it, and then he gets instantly tired, and he's done. Um, so yeah, we can feel that. And maybe it's not day to day, but it's month to month, right? We had, like, September was amazing for so many of you, and then you come into an October and you're like, "Oh my god, there's so much going on, but oh my god, I'm so tired." And you feel like you can't stop, but you should for a moment. Take a break, take a breather, do what you need to do, and then keep it moving, right? And so, in this season of fall and winter and all the crazy that's happening inside of our business and with Scentsy, it's really great and it's exciting. And you know what? All good things can exhaust us too, right? Introverts, you may love people, but being around other people for long periods of time or any period of time can be really exhausting. And you're like, I love you, but I'm tired. And so I get that. That can be the business for you. And in this season specifically, this can be the time where consultants all around us are feeling burnt out. Don't let it be discouraging to you, but it's so important that we implement these things in our business now, and that we recognize it, and we are hyper aware of what it looks like, and we have a plan to how to move through it, to maneuver through it. Because September, crazy. October, pretty crazy, right? November, probably going to be crazier because people are getting pumped up for Christmas, and it's going to be mad Christmas shopping, and it's going to be lots of LTOs and lots of things and all the stuff. And we're getting ready for Christmas and then December's last push. And then we want to spend time with our family, but man, we're so tired. You have to implement these things right now, right now. Pay attention and come up with a plan. That's what I'm telling you. Come up with a plan, a game plan. How are you going to maneuver through it? How can you avoid it? What does burnout look like for you? Right? Don't let it take your business down. Don't let it take your business down. People walk away from this business all the time because they're in the midst of burnout. Superstar directors. It's almost like a weekly thing on the page. Superstar directors talking about feeling burnt out, wanting to walk away from the business. I don't want y'all to get to that point. And sometimes there's nothing we can do except ride the wave. I've never been there yet, but I'm sure that it will come. But I want you to remember what I'm telling you now. And if you are learning to rest and take care of you, and you're learning to pace yourself, space out your tasks, rely on your systems, build those systems, and prioritize what matters, I feel like I feel pretty good about the idea that in 10 years from now, when you feel that burnt out for the thousandth time, that quitting is not an option, right? Maybe you got to rest a little bit longer, right? But quitting is not the option. I hope that can be true for you. But in this season, I hope you can find what works for you, make up a plan, and we are going to rise. Okay?